Welcome to Access, brought to you by Crypto.com. Matthew Lloyd and Damian Barrett with you. A massive game to close Gather Round 2025 at Matthew Lloyd. A lot going on elsewhere in Round 5.
Gather Round was sensational, Damo. You and I were there to enjoy it over the last couple of days. And some things I'm looking forward to talking about is the next $1 million man at St Kilda in Nasiah Wanganeen-Miller, and two big forwards, one for the Cats and one for the Dockers, I want to talk about today.
More excuses for Clarko and North, Lordo. And you're going to make a couple of big calls on a couple of big forwards late in the show. Sam Walsh back to his best as well. But it was a much hyped game to close Gather Round 2025. Port Adelaide versus Hawthorn, and it was a blistering first half of football by the home team.
No one saw this coming, no one at all. Where Port Adelaide are 10 goals up in the second quarter. Sam Mitchell was shell-shocked. He was down on the boundary trying to rally his troops, but nothing changed. They couldn't get the ball past centre, the Hawks. That's how good Port Adelaide's pressure was. I've been really disappointed in Port Adelaide's ball use the last 2 weeks. Well, they were breathtaking with how well they used it. He made some changes. We're going to talk about Connor Rozee soon. He went to half-back. They went after Sicily with Hal Pepper. They went after Newcombe with Willem Drew. So he got a lot right, Ken Hinkley. He gets his team up for certain games, and they were up and about yesterday.
And their leaders stood up most, didn't they, when they needed to? And we'll get to Connor Rozee right now, because we both criticised him last week for not just what he'd done to that point of 2025, but even for the entirety of his captaincy year in 2024, just by way of comparison, Lordo. But this is one of the better matches he has ever played.
Yeah, he's getting sat on a lot, and well done to Ken Hinkley, because he said, let's look after our young captain and let's put him behind the ball. And they wouldn't have been prepared for this, Hawthorn, so he went behind the ball. He got a bit of easier possession. He was able to run, carry, kick goals, push forward. It's the best spot to play in footy, Damo, and the other teams might be aware of it from this point on, but then they can throw him back into the midfield after that.
So 71 points down, the Hawks, just before half-time. They kicked 2 goals late. They fought it out, but there are some concerns, aren't there? Because while they were unbeaten until that moment last night, their numbers probably weren't where Sam Mitchell wanted them to be.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be too worried, because it's what a wake-up call to have before the Easter Monday game against Geelong. So, yeah, I agree. He'd been talking about we're winning games, but we're not quite where we need to be. So he wouldn't be too surprised by that, and it might be the sharpen-up they need.
In the 11 matches that Will Day hasn't played over 3 seasons now, they've only won 2. That is a damning stat, and something that I think we can read into.
Yeah, Sam Mitchell was asked about it, and he said, well, we were 10 goals down in the second quarter. He's good, but he's not that good, but he's a barometer for them.
And Port has taken them apart, or not taken them apart, but beaten them 3 times in 12 months now. So there's something they're doing that other clubs will pick up on.
That's right. It's on Port now to back it up. So Port can be an emotional side, and they can get up for certain games and then can be flat the next week. So that's their challenge. We've seen what their best is. Can they keep producing it?
The Gather Round Boardroom agenda topic is, again, the Melbourne Football Club. Lordo, we'll take this conversation into the boardroom in a moment. But before we do so, let's take a look at what you were most disappointed with their game against Essendon.
Well, I like what they did off half-back and through the midfield. So they actually are moving the ball pretty well. So the flow's good, they're challenging. It's how you'd want it coming in as a forward. But it's that last kick, again, which has hurt them. So we have to ask, because it's like a broken record. What's going on?
This is a 3-year storyline.
It is a 3-year storyline. So if I'm on the board at Melbourne, and they stay out of footy matters, a lot of them, but when Alan Ritson walks in as the head of football and has to present to the board, I'd be asking, Alan, why doesn't anything change? Why has this gone on year after year, week after week? Why can't our coach, Simon Goodwin, adjust and have this fixed? Because it's a problem. We're going to look at some numbers shortly. Like Christian Petrarca, he's a wonderful player, but
how does he kick like that?
Again, it's skill level. Why is our skill level off? Is it personnel? Is it system? They're all the questions that the board of Melbourne must be asking of Simon Goodwin.
And on that particular point, Lordo, the board is dysfunctional at the moment. They don't have the conduit to the board in the administration, in no CEO being part of their operations at the moment. They're still seeking to find someone after Gary Pert resigned last year. They have an interim capacity chairperson in Brad Greene, and Stephen Smith, who has been identified as the next president, is about to take off overseas for a lengthy period of time. They are in limbo. So when you say that the football operations manager needs to go to the board or be asked by the board, there's no one directing this club at the moment.
That's a wonderful point you make, Damo, and that's the question Simon Goodwin could put back to them and say, I haven't been supported as well as I could have, and it affects on-field performance. But here are the numbers, Damo, of Melbourne, and you look at that, hit-outs to advantage, so they are wasting the Gawn era, and he's coming to the end of his time over the next couple of years.
So that's telling you he's still doing what he can to a point.
Yeah, his hit-outs to advantage a third. Some people like that, some don't. But look at the clearance numbers. So they're not converting it at all. So even though he wins the hit-outs, they're ranked 17th. And then you can see forward half, they are a mess, ranked 18th for goals per inside 50 as well.
They just need to clean up so many elements of their business, Lord. And I'm talking off-field as much as on-field. And I think there is a link now that we're seeing with the 0-5 start to the year. Now, we got to see an old-fashioned one-on-one key position hit-out, didn't we, on the weekend, when we saw that Sam Darcy went up against Harris Andrews at Norwood Oval. It was a wonderful contest. There was a Djakovic Carey, Knights and Vanderhaar one from past.
It was, and what I liked about it for Sam Darcy, he'll walk away disappointed, going, I only kicked 2 goals because he sets high standards. But when you're in your 33rd game of football, playing on arguably the best defender in the game, and you go, oh, well, I had 16 disposals, kicked 2 goals, 3. And
I fought it out.
Took 8 marks. Pretty good if that's your average performance by Sam Darcy. Harris Andrews was brilliant in his moments as well. He took 11 marks as well. So, yeah, it was probably a break even, that one.
Another big name out of round 5, gather round, Lordo. Toby Greene is clearly back to his 2023 All-Australian captaincy best. I say that because he was more than okay in 2024, but it wasn't quite what we had seen to that point of his career. And I think he arguably has even elevated in the short time of 2025 beyond that.
He has, Damo. He had 5 goals to 3/4 time. So he was the difference maker. It's brilliant to see him back. And they're a wonderful team, the GWS Giants. Yes, they lost to Hawthorn a couple of weeks ago in that windswept game in Tasmania, but they are doing so much right. And this man, Toby Greene, what a leader he is, both in the midfield and in the forward line. And they had no answers from Jimmy Webster. He just kept being blown away by the brilliance and the fitness levels of Toby Greene.
He's benefited by, obviously, Stringer coming into the team and Hogan as well, Lordo, and they're still betting down that combination, aren't they? But we've seen a couple of goals here, as you've shown what he's done on the weekend, that they were the crumbing style of goal, which you'd want to focus on today.
Yeah, firstly, before we show the first clip, I want to say it's the toughest role in footy, being a small forward, and you have to read the hands of the player. So if you're a key forward marking there, the small has to be there. If you've got your hands there, they have to adjust their position.
So it's the hands more than the ball coming in.
Yeah, so you're watching the hands of where you think the ball's going to drop to. And I just love the weekend of some of the goals that were kicked by small forwards. Toby Greene was the best of them. So let's take a look at the art of crumbing. So this one's Sparrow. So again, you're coming in. You don't want to get too close. You don't want to be too far away. He read where the drop of that ball was coming, as we just spoke about here. Higgins is one of the best of it in the game. He does a bit of a spin, a pirouette to lose his opponent.
He's one of the very best.
He's in brilliant form. This one here, the way he backtracks there, Jamie Elliott, sensational goal, one of the best in the business as well. This guy is Toby Greene, is that one? Yeah, Toby Greene, sensational player, best man on the ground yesterday. And then the performance of Darcy Jones, he's one of my favourites in the game, this man. And he's had a sensational year. Gets up really high.
Could he be the best in this space?
Yeah, just about. And this one, Shea Bolton, he broke the hearts of Richmond yesterday and did a number on them with his crumbing skills as well.
Yep. Now, the Suns remain unbeaten. It's a fantastic storyline in itself. There's some big-name players there, but one of them hasn't got the profile of some, but you want to focus on him today.
Yes, another crummer, Ben Long. What a season. He's had, watch this crumb. Get to the front of the pack, reading the hands and kicks the goal. So Longy's on fire. He's kicked multiple goals in most games that he's played. Now 10 goals for the season.
Genuine presence.
He is. He's tough. Absolutely tough. Ben King's a wonderful story with what he's doing, 17 goals, and he's become the foil for him with 10 goals. So underachieved at St Kilda, but seems to have found a happy place at the Gold Coast Suns with how he's playing.
Happy being the word, because have a look at the scoreline here when they got on a roll in the last quarter and then he kicked another goal, and the way his teammates got around him, you can just tell that they're loving what he's doing.
How do you see them, the Gold Coast Suns? Now,
I'm starting to believe. Yeah, I am. I want to see a bit more. I think they've had a relatively, I'll put inverted commas, easy draw, but they've done all they can be required to do at this point in time.
And even as a young side, if you sort of tail off for a little bit, they'll win again this weekend against Richmond.
You'd think so.
So that'll take them to 5-0.
Round 8 against ladder-leading Brisbane Lions. That's going to be the big Q clash. Now, coach speak this week. It's a regular in this part of our show. It's Alistair Clarkson.
It is difficult. Schedule games in this climate at this time of the day. It just doesn't make sense to me. Our back end, for instance, and still needs some work on it, but our back end have played very little footy together. The very questions that you're asking of us right now, you've been asking of Gold Coast for the last 6 or 8 years. So we just know that it just takes time.
It takes a lot of time, and they're 1-4, Lordo. And to hear Alistair Clarkson talk about the weather condition attached to a game of footy, this is a guy who once took his top off before a game and it was basically snowing in Canberra some years ago when he was coaching the Hawthorn Footy Club. He's never, ever gone down the excuse path, no matter where he's been in his coaching life.
Yeah, so
now he is.
Yeah, he was making a statement to his players of no excuses. I know it's cold, but look at me, I've got my top off. So they play Carlton this week, so I'd hope he'd walk in there today and say, yes, there was so much. That last quarter was unforgivable, not good enough. We rolled over, which they did against the Gold Coast Suns. And with no Mackay and no Kemp, this is a more than winnable game against Carlton. That's how you'd hope he'd speak today.
Yep. It was great to see a full quota of 9 matches in gather round, and there were so many storylines to spin off out of what we did see. And what took your eye, Lloyd?
For mine, Collingwood, they're a bit of a sleeper here off the back of the best sides in the comp, which I think are Hawthorn, Brisbane and the Giants, but they are back, and the glint in the eye is back in Macrae. They've got their system. A lot of people want to knock Essendon in the list and say they're a mile off and this bad. You're never as bad as you think they are. And I've got Roberts and Caddy and Kako and Reid and Perkins. They're not that bad. They're good young players. So it's been a good fortnight for them. And Nasiah Wanganeen-Miller, next $1 million man in the AFL competition with what he's doing. Adelaide are after him. I think the Saints will keep him, but what a wonderful player he's become.
Giving the Crows, Lordo, a cop-out, coming off a short break after the loss previous to the Gold Coast Suns against Geelong. They were tired. I'm prepared to see how they respond to that one. Serious issues in the Swans forward line now that Joel Amartey's got a hamstring problem and they haven't yet solved that issue. Eagles, I think they've still got a few more rungs to fall before we see them actually start to improve. And this situation I referred to down the bottom, Noah Bolter, it's not just a Richmond Footy Club matter, it's an AFL one, and he's got one more match to play before he's going to be sentenced by the Corowa local court. And I just think a statement needs to be made early in the week just to not play senior footy again this week. That's my take.
I thought there was a mention out of the weekend that he may be back, but
there is, but I think they should clarify it and clear it up, because it's just, I think it's a bad look to have him playing while the court is yet to sentence him officially.
Damo, I want to talk about Jeremy Cameron, and I don't like pumping up my tyres too much here, Damo,
oh, yes, you do.
But I said last week I would love Jeremy Cameron to play against him.
You did say that.
If they want to let him get all these touches up the ground like he did against Melbourne. They put him back this week closer to home. Look at those numbers.
And 50. They put him back when it needed to be won in the last quarter.
So he's an unbelievable player, the best player just about in the comp inside 50. So when Melbourne were playing against him last week, he only had 59% of his touches inside the forward half of the ground. Then it jumped up to 86%. He changed the game, him and Danger.
So here's the last quarter, Lotto. You can see the scoreline. They need their big name players to stand up, and he went forward, and that's the first of the 3 goals he kicked in the last quarter.
Chris Scott's a wonderful coach, but what I was just saying is I'd be happy if I was coaching against Chris Scott to say, give Jeremy as many touches on the wings as he likes. We just can't give him touches inside 50, and he was back to his best, the player we know he is.
So leave him as a lockdown full forward from here on in? Even with Danger next to him?
I'd be saying, don't go past 70.
Yep.
Just stay around there, because, that's where kicking 4 and 5 goals is what we want from you.
You just made a big call there, and you've got another one to make in the Crypto.com bold call of the week for Gather Round.
My bold call, Damo, is that we've now seen the best forward at Fremantle, key forward, since Matthew Pavlich, and they've been searching for this since Pav retired, and it's Josh Treacy. And Treacy was sensational again. I know it was only against Richmond, but he did against the Western Bulldogs the week before as well. So he's just a colossus. He's one of the best contested marks in the game. He's a beautiful kick for goal. And
it's still relatively come from nowhere, this storyline, hasn't it?
It is, because was he a rookie?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a rookie-listed player. So
and took a while to get going, understandably. I mean, his first 30 games were nothing eventful, and yet his last 35 or thereabouts have been quite spectacular.
And they've brought players in. They tried Jesse Hogan. It unfortunately didn't work for them. They've tried other players as well, from other clubs. They've tried draftees. Amos hasn't quite been there. So it's great to see someone's finally arrived for them.
Now, I don't know what Carlton defeated on the weekend, Lordo, when playing against West Coast. I don't know what to make of Sam Walsh, but it was just nice to see him back, something resembling his very best.
Yes, 3 goals. So it's only the second time in his AFL career that he's kicked 3 goals in a game. And that's the knock on Walsh, as good as he is. Why can't he hit the scoreboard more? And to see him with a smile on his face, and sometimes it doesn't matter who you beat, just for your own confidence, what you can do. So he's playing North Melbourne this week. He should be aiming to kick 2 or 3 goals again.
Well, they're going to need him to kick 2 or 3 goals.
They are going to need him in this game. So That's what I've wanted to see.
Are you taking credit for this one as well?
No,
are you?
I won't take credit for that one. I'd like to, but that's when he's at his best, when he's out in space and running and carrying.
All right, you're taking credit for your tips because you and I have been trailing the leaders so far this year, and there's a new leader, Fish. Michael Whiting has taken over from Chad Wingard there, and where are we, Lordo?
Not too far. You know, three and two behind. It's not too
close
bad.
enough.
Yeah.
Close enough. Thank you for watching, as always. Access for crypto.com, and we'll be back next Monday for round 6.